Hi guys, and welcome back to another video game with powers. I'm Jake, and in today's video I'll be giving you guys a brief overview of the board game Unconscious Mind, and then I will be talking about my first impressions of this game and my experience getting this to the table for the very first time. Unconscious Mind is a brand new board game coming to you from Fantasia Games. This is a 1 to 4 player games, right around 60 to 120 minutes, ages 12 plus. Unconscious Mind is a classic Euro, or is a Euro themed game where you are taking on the role of one of Freud's psychologists, and you are trying to cure patients, come up with ideas and things like that to become or be the most reputable, I would say, or gain the most reputation as a renowned psychologist in this particular area. Now, do want to preference, guys, that the version of the game you are looking at today is the deluxified version. You can probably tell from this nice hollow foil box. Some of the components you will see as well, like play mats and foil cards and things like that, are part of that deluxified version as well. There are some pieces that I do have here from the original base game, because I actually kind of do like them a little bit better. But let's go ahead and drop down to the table where I got everything set up, and I'll go over exactly what is Unconscious Mind, how the game kind of works, and how it plays. All right, guys, so we are down here at the table where we have mostly everything set up for what would be a game of Unconscious Mind. Now, there is a lot going on here with this game, so I'm just going to give you the brief highlights about how some things work, but just note that there is a little bit more setup than what you see here in this table, and there's going to be a lot more precise rules and variations in things that the game is going to, or how the game is going to play, than what I really talk about in this overview. But let's start. So like I said, you guys are taking on the role of one of Freud's friends, who is a psychologist, and you'll see down here below I do have a player board, which when I talk about this section of the game, I will move this up, getting rid of one of these map boards. But the game is going to start with, you have this meeting table board right here, you're going to have this city board, and you will be interacting with both these boards. And then kind of the main premise of the game is you will have this insight board right here, and you will have these insight cubes, and these are going to be kind of your resources. And so throughout the game, you'll be generating these different resources or insights and spending these to do different things and gain some of that reputation. Okay, so let's dive in and talk about how the game is going to work. So you can take 3 actions on your turn. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. There are 3 possible actions that you can take on your turn, and you will choose one of them, okay? So we will start with the first possible action, and that is to state an idea. So whenever you want to take this particular action, you will come over here to this meeting board. You will have a set of idea tokens. So I'll kind of show you how this works. So you have a set of idea tokens right here, and there are 9 different actions that you can take. And so you will take these idea tokens, and you will place either 1 or 2 of them in a particular spot that you would like to go. And so they want you to point your little, let me get this settled here, we can find it. So this little edge right here, like kind of like this quotation, they want you to point that to the ability or power that you want to activate. And power is the right word, the action that you want to take. So for example, if I wanted to take this middle action, right, I would need to position my idea so that it is pointing to that particular action, okay? Now, like I said, you can either place 1 or 2 ideas. If you place 2 ideas, you get to activate this action twice. So you have 9 different actions that are going to be available to you. Just a quick overview. The top row of actions is there. Coffee is a resource in this game. You can spend coffee in order to get some of these tiles here, that these tiles will then be used to put in your player board, and those will help you activate take more actions on your given turn. This middle row here, this is going to allow you to increase your insights or generate more insights. So you have 3 different levels of insights. You have minor, median, and major, and so everything starts usually at the bottom row, and then you can upgrade these with these particular arrows. You can also transfer insights between each other. So you can go from green to purple or green to red or vice versa, right? This action is research cards. So there is a deck of cards in this game that are research cards. When you play these cards, they're going to have different abilities on them. Okay, and I should bring some of these a little bit closer. They'll have different actions and abilities on them, but they also have a book color. And so you can publish essentially books in this game to score certain victory points. So if you have played research cards that match the colors of the book, and actually I do have two particular cards out here, you would basically structure them just like this, and then you would be able to craft this book. So that's that particular action right there. All right, the next action here is movement on the city board. So you have this city board as well that's going to give you a bunch of different actions available to you, and this does look like a lot of stuff is going on this board here. But once you kind of get the hang of it and understand what each of these particular bonuses are, it's actually pretty useful. But you can move around the different city, taking different actions for these particular each building that you end up on. So that's that action, or you can move Freud to take actions as well. Down here, this particular action is to gain your insights. So you gain some insights. This is gaining research cards. This one is playing research cards. I need to be specific with that. And then that is moving Freud. Again, this one is specifically moving around the board or moving to Freud's location. This one is moving Freud. But that is the state idea action. So once you complete the action that you want to take, at the end of the action, you might notice here on the right-hand side, you will see a bunch of different ink pots, okay? You will then move your ink pot that is on your player board the number of spaces that you did. And so you're gonna make these little rotations on your board, and once you make a full rotation, you'll be able to unlock more ideas for you to be able to use, and then wherever your ink pot lands, you'll be able to do some additional things. So if it ever lands in one of these three spots here, you will be able to activate any tiles that you have in these rows, and you'll also get the base resource there. So if I had more tiles in here, let's say something like this, okay, and I landed here, I could use all of these tile actions by trading in resources or doing whatever that tile says to be able to gain something, okay? If it lands on this one, this is the reputation track. So you have a reputation track up here, which will give you bonuses. You can activate those. And then if you land on the top spot here, you will allowed, if you have an open column, you can activate anything in a particular column. So that is how stating an idea works. You're putting that idea out onto the board. Whatever row your idea is in with the number of ink pots, that's how many spaces your ink pot is going to move. And then you will activate said ability on your player board. The next action you can take, number 2, is the recall ideas, okay? So at some point, you're gonna run out of idea, guys, and you will have nothing left to play. So you recall all of your ideas from the board. You will get bonus coffee for doing this, and then you will be able to take a specific action over here on the location that you are in. So let's say I was in this spot right here because I'm already here. I would be able to take one of these 3 particular actions that are on the board and actually zoom this bad boy in here. So I could take one of these 3 actions. So gain a tile from the meeting board. I could gain that insight resource immediately, which would be this little bird here, or I could gain a bright idea. So that is one possibility you could do. Actually, let me leave this zoom back in for you guys. The other possibility is to do one of these abilities. So depending on how many of these particular icons that I have played out in front of me, so like if I have played cards that are in front of me, this is a purple, so this would count. Let's say I completed one of these objectives, and let's find one that has purple here. So we have purple, so if I had this out, right, and then I had this as well, this would be counted counted as 3, okay? Actually, this would count as 2. So I get 2, 3, and 4. Instead of choosing to do one of these actions, I can do one of these actions if I meet the criteria, and then I would be able to get that bonus. Now, this will require me to place what is called a player color insight, and the only way to unlock these insights are by filling rows and columns. So I have filled this entire row, drop that out there, and now I would have this insight available to use, and I could place that there and take this particular action, okay? So that is the recall step of, your second action. You are recalling your ideas from this board and then taking a specific action on that board. Okay, guys, the very last action that you have, or the very last action that you could take is you can cure a patient. So this is kind of the other main premise of the game. I'm just gonna move the main board over, take these pieces out, and I know this might be kind of distracting for some of you guys, but we'll see how this works. So you will have what is considered a meeting board here. And actually, I'm gonna take this board out so that we have a nice backdrop and it's easy to see. Okay, so on top of having a player board and this insight dial, everybody's gonna have this board right here. And this board is gonna count as kind of like your office or your room. And so throughout the game, you will be getting clients, actually, let me say. Throughout the game, you will be getting clients, all right? And so you would have a client in here in this particular spot. You have a secondary room that will open up at some point in the game. So let's just say your board looks something like this. Now, every client will have a layer to them that's called a grief layer. So you will layer this card on top, and this will be what some of your clients will look like. So you'll see these hearts down here. These are the total number of hearts that you will need to cure in order to cure this particular patient. So he is at 7, right? So you have this little track here with 7 and she's at 6. And so each patient is gonna come with dream cards. So you have a latent dream deck and you have this dream deck. So each patient would have, let me move this down. All right, each patient would have a latent dream here. And then the patient would have a lucid dream, I believe is what they called. And your lucid dreams are gonna be in a row, almost like a market. So there'll be 4 lucid dreams out somewhere on the table that you will be able to choose from when you were to gain a new client, all right? This dream deck is just gonna stay like this and you will just take the top card every time. Same thing with your clients, guys. Your clients are gonna be out in a deck, so a market. So there'll be 3, I think it's 2 actually. There'll be 2 client cards out and then you will have the deck of cards. Now there are multiple clients. You do have, what's the name of it? We have routine client cards, and then you have case study, all right? So all of your routine clients are gonna give you a permanent bonus for the rest of the game once you cure them. Your case study clients are gonna be end game scoring victory points whenever you cure them. And so the way you cure these patients is by fulfilling these dreams. So you would need to spend the required number of insights in order to get this bonus. So this would cure 2 hearts here. And if I cured that down there, that would cure a total of 5. So you would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now there's this little spot here on your board called catharsis. Once you pass or reach that spot, this grief layer disappears. You will gain the bonus that is on that grief layer, and then now you have the opportunity to finish off the rest of your client. In some cases, if you use both your dreams, your client will no longer have any more dreams, and so you will need to be gaining a resource called a heart-shaped box. So you can gain these heart-shaped box resources a number of different ways in the game. You will spend these heart-shaped boxes at the end of your turn to kind of finish the fulfillment of your client. And then once you finish your client off, you will score those number of victory points on the track, okay? Like I said, there's multiple ways to get these client cards, but the third action that you have the possibility to take on your turn is curing that client. And so it's as simple as fulfilling these insights, spending these resources, you finish this card off, move your client, and then that is going to be considered the end of your turn. And that, guys, is essentially the overall premise of what unconscious mind is all about. Again, that is a very, very, very brief overview of the game, just highlighting some of the main concepts. But as you move throughout the game, right, you will be able to score victory points. All right, actually, I need to move this down a little bit. You'll be able to score victory points, and as you score these victory points, you move around the particular board here, and it's probably better that I just zoom this out. You'll be able to move around the board as you gain these victory points. Like I said, you've probably seen these tiles here. These are in-game scoring conditions. So whenever you meet certain criteria throughout the game, you'll be able to claim these particular tiles. The game is going to be over when Freud's reputation reaches the end of this particular track. And so every time you gain a reputation, Freud's reputation moves up. So basically, once 9 reputation has been claimed amongst everybody at the table, that will trigger the end of the game. You guys will play one final turn, and then you will go to end game scoring, and the player who has the most victory points at the end of the game will be the winner. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that overview of unconscious mind and were able to get a good understanding and feeling of what this game is about and some of the things that you're going to be doing when you get this to the table. So let's go ahead and jump right in talking about my first impressions and my first experience of getting unconscious mind to the table. And guys, look, I had a really enjoyable experience with this one. Of course, the artwork and the production and presentation of the game is top tier. It is off the charts with all the different foil dream cards. The artwork here, the presentation. Now I do have the collector's edition as well, which instead of those character meeples, there's going to be character miniatures. Instead of the plastic ink pot, right, I do have an ink pot with an actual cork in it. So there's some things that I didn't put out on the table. I just showed you kind of what the base version was, but the production value here is top notch and really adds another level of table presence to the game. I love these layered cards here. These layered cards are awesome on each different character. In terms of the gameplay itself, look, this thing was a beast to set up. It took me about 45 minutes to set the game up the very first time. It took me about 45 minutes to get through the rule book and really sit down and understand the game. But here's kind of the funny thing about it. Like, once I got a couple turns into the game seemed a lot more easier than what you're actually looking at. Like, when you look at this game on the table and when you look at the rule book and are going through the rule book, you're like, holy smokes, there is a lot to this game. And now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot to this game. There's a lot of small little intricate details that make the strategic depth of this game very, very high, right? Overall, it is a Euro style game, and most of those games are very heavy. But once you dive into the game, I really feel like it's very, very simple, right? On your turn, there's only 3 things that you can do, and you just choose one of them. Do I want to state an idea? If I do, I go to that meeting board, I put my idea down, I take one of the 9 available actions to me. Now, some of those actions can be covered up through other players, so you might be limited in that. I take that particular action, I move my ink pot around the board, and then wherever my ink pot lands, I get to take some maybe more additional actions, okay? Boom, very simple. That's the end of your turn. The second thing, like I said, restating those ideas. I take my ideas back, and then I go to the board and I get to take an action on the particular board. And then the last thing is obviously curing your patients. I think they made it very simple and easy to cure those patients. You're just fulfilling those dream cards, you get the bonus on there, and that is that. So I think once you get into the game and understand how it works, it actually moves very, very well, flows very nicely, and is very simple to understand and pick up. I really do feel that after only playing this game one time, I have a good grasp on it enough to teach this to somebody else without having to look at the rule book a whole lot so that they could understand it. So that's really the first thing for me. The second thing that stands out is I love how they used resources here with this insight board, okay? Using those different insights to level up the insights, get to these different positions here, and spending those resources and stuff like that. And so it's really, really cool because it does have this resource management type effect to it, because you only have 7 common insights. And once an insight is out on the board, unless you drop it down back to the center or transfer it, that thing is stuck there. So if you have 7 insights already out on the board with a resource, you cannot gain any more resources. So you have to be very strategic in the resources that you're going to do. And of course, it's so cool using that dial or that wheel to move these different resources up and down. So I really enjoyed that as well. And I think for me, the very last thing that I enjoyed was the combo aspect of the game, right? Going to that meeting board, getting those different tiles, putting those tiles in your board, and then whenever your ink pot lands on there, being able to chain, almost like tableau building, right? Engine building, I should say. Doing all that, creating this engine of getting different resources. And so like, I remember like I got a really good tile right off the bat where I was able to spend like a medium resource and just a basic resource, and I was able to draw a research card and then play a research card. And so those research cards, they give bonuses, they help you get books, which those books give you more victory points and stuff like that. So I was churning out a lot of resource cards. And then I also had one specific thing that like I could basically trade in a research card, I believe it was, and get like a major resource right off the bat. And so it's really, really cool. I love all the different tiles and the different combos you can create with that. But look guys, I don't want to keep this video too long, but those are a lot of things that I really enjoyed about Unconscious Mind. I had a very enjoyable experience this one. Now, of course, it is a Euro game, so it is going to be a bit long. I think it was about a 2.5 hour playthrough the first time we played it. Again, that's just getting to understand the game. But I think now that I've got a better grasp on it, it won't be as long because it's going to move very quickly. But I enjoyed this for a Euro. You know, most Euros are very heavy. You got a lot of stuff going on. This one, it kind of makes it simple. It makes it clean, makes it easy to kind of understand. And it's kind of cool with all the different artwork and the experience that you're going through, all the different things you can do. But overall, I definitely enjoyed my first playthrough of Unconscious Mind and getting this one to the table. I look forward to getting it to the table with Sierra, because I actually got to the table with a friend of mine. So I'm curious to see what Sierra thinks about this one. All right, guys, but look, that is my opinions and my first impressions on the board game Unconscious Mind. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, drop down in the comments below, do you agree with me, or what are your thoughts and opinions on Unconscious Mind? And as always, guys, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe so we can keep bringing you some more awesome content. All right, guys, y'all have a great one. Bye.